Hey everybody, thanks a lot for coming back to Free Run Speed. This is Dave Jewell. We're here to talk about the Nike Pegasus 35 Turbo. So let's get started. Alright, so the basics. It's a neutral shoe built with a 10 millimeter offset between the heel and the forefoot. It's got a moderate stack height. So comparing that to the Epic React it's a slightly lower. Same heel to forefoot drop, but slightly lower in terms of the total stack height. It's a two-piece midsole. We'll go 50-50. 50% of it is the React midsole that you find on the Epic React, and the other 50% is Nike ZoomX midsole, which is essentially it's a Pegasus that is the same midsole that's found on the Vaporfly 4%. So you kind of get the best of both worlds there, but we'll talk further on that. So it's a two-piece midsole. The upper, it's a sourced mesh upper. It's got a pretty thick backing on it, so it's not super breathable. So although you see lots of perforations in this, it's not ultra breathable because of the backing that's on it. It's got flywire, the unique Nike heel fit. Nike does the absolute best in all of running in terms of heel fit. Kind of the same rear piece on the Pegasus Turbo that you find on the Vaporfly 4% as well. So those are the basics of the shoe. Let's get into likes, dislikes. Okay, the first thing I'm going to talk about, this is the Pegasus. I grew up in the Pegasus. It wasn't my first shoe, but when I really began to love running, it was because of the Pegasus. Now I'm going to date myself a little bit. That Pegasus had a polyurethane heel and a molded EVA forefoot. And it was dynamic in the way it felt. It was the most universal shoe on the market. You could do anything. You could do speed work, long runs, short runs. It was the only shoe I had. It's not like I had 2 or 3 different pairs of shoes that I ran in. It was that one Pegasus. If I think about that one Pegasus and fast forward to 2018, this is where the Pegasus should be. It should be this shoe. This dynamic of feel, this technology advanced shoe. This is where the Pegasus should be. Now we know that this is not where the Pegasus is. The Pegasus found its niche and is in that form of let's update it but not screw it up mode. And it's just the same shoe over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. But if you go back to the original, what was the Pegasus? This should be the Pegasus in 2018. The reason I say that is this midsole is ultra dynamic. It is one of the more unique midsoles that you'll feel in all of running. So there's a softness to it. There's a definite absolute softness to it. But at the same time, you don't, if a running shoe, if let's say the Pegasus were as soft in the forefoot as this shoe is, you would simply go to toe off, and it would take a long time for you to get there because the shoe is so soft. What happens with this Pegasus Turbo is you have that Pegasus foam underneath, and all of a sudden, boom, you get a spring. So it's soft, but it's super alive. And that's what's really unique, and that's why I think this is what the Pegasus of today should feel like. The bottom is a modified waffle sole, pretty consistent with where the Pegasus has been for a number of years. So overall, underfoot, this shoe gets an A+. It's soft, super dynamic. You can do any kind of run in it. I did 10-mile runs on the road. I did some speed work. Ran on some trails. Done all types of variety of runs, and it performs. So it's super universal. Great feel no matter what kind of running you're doing in it. So overall, it is very, very dynamic in terms of its running, and so A+ on the midsole. The fit, from here back, classic Nike fit. Fits great in the heel, really grabs your heel. The midfoot will lock down for me, as you can see. I need lockdown, but it will expand as well. Flywire helps you get that extra lockdown. So from the midfoot all the way back, outstanding. Up in the forefoot, it's a challenge. And there's a couple of reasons why it's a challenge. This taping right here, that gives it the look. That's what gives the Pegasus Turbo a very different look than the regular Pegasus. But what it does is it totally limits the amount of stretch you're going to get in the upper. And it essentially pushes down on the top of the shoe. So the overall volume is really diminished up in the forefoot, and that is because of this taping. Add to that issue of the taping, the insole is rather thick up in the forefoot. I think it's probably over 5 millimeters in thickness. You can see just by this comparison, the black one is actually the insole I've been using in the shoe. It is from the Zoom Fly, and it is basically standard thickness of an insole. The coral insole is what comes in the Pegasus Turbo. And you put an insole that thick into a forefoot that is tapered because of the tape that's on top, and all of a sudden it becomes a fit problem. So with this coral insole into the Pegasus Turbo, I felt like I was kind of in between sizes. This is a size 9, which is, I never buy anything that isn't a size 9, and it felt a little bit short. Like my toes were at the end, but it's really because the tape was on there. So my toes were just crammed into it. So it felt really short. But I also know that if I went to the 9.5, it would be too big. So my solution was to take this lower insole and put it in, and all of a sudden, once I did that, I had perfect fit. It fit me like the way a Nike should fit my foot, and it was perfect, and running in it became a dream. So I think the insole is a major issue. I'm really confused as to why it's so darn thick. The thing that I loved about that Pegasus, Air Pegasus, a long time ago, was that it was super durable. You could get, I don't even know how many miles. I didn't measure it, but I would run in it until the sole fell off or peeled off from too many miles. I think this Pegasus Turbo is in that same game. I think you're going to, because of the midsole, because of the resiliency of the midsole, you're going to be able to run a lot of miles in it. Almost virtually until the outer sole wears down. So for $180, it's very pricey up front, but I think in long term you should get more wear out of this, almost as much as 1.5 to 2 times any other shoe that you're that you're running in. The challenge is going to be that it's not going to fit everybody. And that's all because of this piece of tape. And this insole. Those two things bring the overall volume of fit down, which just creates tons of problems. People are trying to figure out if they're in between sizes. It just brings in all kinds of problems that this shoe didn't need to have at $180. At $180, the shoe should fit like a glove. Should go on and fit like a glove. And it does for some, and it doesn't for some, and that's where the problem is. So overall, definitely a shoe worth trying on and seeing if it fits you well. If it fits you well, you're going to be super happy with how it feels, which is why it's getting great reviews from a lot of people. But it's definitely not for everybody because of the fit. Hey, if you like these videos, please subscribe. And if you got questions about your running shoes, about the Pegasus Turbo or any other Nike out there or other shoe in general, leave questions and comments below, and I'd be happy to see what I can do to answer them. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great run.